restaurant to make ends meet. After a couple of months, my dad came by for a visit and convinced me to swallow my pride and come help out the family business. Both my older brothers were working there too at that stage. So that's what I did. I spent the next 6 months there sorting invoices and delivering orders and all sorts of things. But it was really tough on my psyche. It wasn't long before I understood why they say it's never the best idea to work with family. The endless disagreements and arguments that carried over to Sunday family lunches, the resentment that built, and the bonds that were breaking down, it just wasn't worth it. But I had to stick it out until a better opportunity came knocking. The next year, in early Jan, I received a phone call from a member of an established band here in the Bay. They were looking for a new vocalist. They had a fair amount of work on offer, so I accepted. I was finally back in the game I loved. From there, I was able to save again and replace the equipment I'd lost. Over the next 2 years, we performed regular slots as a resident band at 3 different venues. The spin-off of private bookings and corporate work was also growing and business was good. The personnel of the band changed a bit during that time, but I made sure that I did what I needed to do to be valued enough. There's always more that one can bring to the party besides just the role you've been given to fill. I was the youngest member by about 8-9 years, and I knew that if I wanted to get ahead in this industry, I would need to develop my skills in other areas. I began performing as a solo artist as well, and also found a bit of work on the side as a DJ. I was then given the chance to put together and host a couple of trivia evenings that turned out to be quite successful. That was back in 2007 at Toby Joe's. Since then, I've been hosting regular midweek trivia at different venues across the city. I think one of the key ingredients to its longevity has been focusing on trying to keep it light-hearted and fun. People want to go home feeling good about themselves, satisfied that they know enough about what's going on in the world around them, not embarrassed by their lack of knowledge about stuff that doesn't actually matter. That's what makes them come back for more. It's escapism they're looking for, and a fun night out with friends. In my opinion, there's no room for self-indulgence when selling a product. It's about identifying what will satisfy your target market and trying your best to deliver just that. There are many aspects of my work that bring me great pleasure and fulfillment, from having the ability to make music, which really is a gift, and creating concepts for shows and events that enthralls me to no end, to waking up every morning feeling motivated to get the job done and excited about the great results that may follow. There's nothing more rewarding than watching something that you've created and nurtured yourself flourish and turn into something very special. But more than anything, seeing people leave with smiles on their faces and knowing that you played some part, or a big part, in bringing them joy by just doing what you do is the most rewarding part. It took many years for some friends and family to stop asking me that question. Yes, that question, which every musician knows too well. When are you going to stop stuffing around and get a real job? Although you're in a band, that's awesome. So what is your day job? I think many of them back then might have thought I'd chosen this career so I could be in pubs every night having a job. I guess I can't blame them for thinking that. It's not exactly the healthiest environment to be spending a lot of your time in. But it's all part of the journey. One needs to walk through the ground floor to get to the lift. And so I decided to push that button and get into the lift. I began mapping out concepts for shows and booking different musicians to feature in them. Funny enough, the Music Kitchen is where it all began. I knew I was taking a big risk on those first few, not knowing whether I'd be able to pull enough of a crowd to attend these shows in order to cover my overheads. I relied on friends and family to help gather the troops. Slowly but surely the numbers grew. I took a few losses along the way, but it was all worth it. Valuable lessons learned and experience gained. With a bit of tweaking here and there, I was able to build more momentum with every show. I realized pretty quickly that I needed to keep my concepts fresh and quirky to maintain my momentum. To focus on originality and not allow trends, not follow trends or regurgitate what's already been done. Building good relationships with all those in the industry, from venue owners to musicians, earning their trust and respect by following through on what I have promised to deliver. To help develop a culture amongst the musicians I work with that promotes mutual respect for one another and the understanding that there's enough sunshine for everyone. And then along came COVID, and the pawpaw hit the fan. We were the first out, no more events, our livelihoods put on hold, everyone leveled out. No matter where you were lying in the race, we were ordered to go back to the starting line and patiently wait. It was tough for everyone, of course, not just the entertainers. How did I get through it? Not something I often like to go back and think about, but going a year before that, a friend of mine and I, we had actually planned a trip to Europe. It was a 3-4 week trip, a very nice trip. We had saved for a year and a half, everything in place. We paid for our air tickets, train tickets, accommodation, everything. And we were supposed to leave in June 2020, early June. Obviously COVID hit us in March, lockdown, no one knew what was happening. So now I'm sitting with very little money because I put it all into this trip and I'm not making money. The money that we don't know if this trip's still on, if it's going to happen, we sort of tied in now. The money that I was planning to spend was the money I was supposed to make between March and June that year. But now I'm sitting at home on my own and we don't know what's going on. Will we going to get work again? You know. And anyways, we were lucky enough that, the way the trip was planned, there were so many different airlines we were using from here to there. It wasn't just one airline, so we couldn't just get one big credit back. It was hassling them and asking them, can you refund us and save the accommodation, all that. So it was coming back in drips and drabs, and I was using that to survive, to get through. Sleepless nights, I'm sure a lot of you remember. I think since then I haven't been able to sleep more than 5.5 hours at a time, because my clock was telling you. You're just thinking all the time, like, what's happening next? And then all these, what do you call them, family meetings, you know. And you're spending most of your time online. Anyways, there were musicians that stepped up, and it was good for all of us. Streaming Sunday night, this one on a Tuesday night, that one on a Thursday, and that was great. And that stage I didn't feel the need to. Also, technically, I wasn't sure of how all that worked. I don't think that stage everyone knew what was Zoom and all that was all new in that as well. So my trivias, it obviously come to a halt, and I had to sit and think of ways to try and get something going online, interact. And in the end, I found a way to run my trivia with my regular teams who I knew well, who also respected one another, that they wouldn't sit on Google when they're sitting at home doing this trivia. Yeah. Renee, you remember? You and Ian were one of the teams. Yes, and it really did help. We had to wait once or twice. We were held up by Ian and Renee during those trivias because their dog got out. Right down the road chasing. So that was one thing that I got going during the actual lockdown, and it sort of continued because once things sort of opened up and we were allowed out, you still weren't allowed to have gatherings in restaurants and things. And then I think it was 1 or 2 streams that we did as a band, live streams that we did in that time. But I was getting a lot of pressure from a lot of my friends and that, asking like, why are you not doing what everyone else is doing? Like this one's playing Sunday night, that one's every Wednesday night, like, I should be doing it, But I also just felt like, who knew how long we'd have to wait before things would open up again. And I just felt that maybe it's not a bad thing, that, we've not been seen for a while. So when we do come back, it'll be a novelty to come out and support us. And once again, I think it was the first event that we did. It was the Heritage Day, the first full event, National Pride Day. And we got a nice crowd in. And things started slowly growing from there. And after that, once things opened up properly, the trivias began. Shows and that started up again after a while. And people built up their confidence and came out again and started supporting. And I must be honest that I think we have actually thrived more now since COVID than what we were before. And I'm grateful for that. Anyway, since then, things with the shows have been evolving. We've been able to sell out at times now, where before it was only one night. We've been able to sell out 2-3 nights and do runs and be able to take shows on the road. And so it's been good.
What lessons have you learned from lockdown then? Because we all learned lessons.
When people in a corner, they'll do anything to survive. That's what I realized. One of those things. People will turn on you. They'll sell you down the river. It was clear that from the start, it was either the best or the worst of you that was going to come up. But I think we learned to appreciate the simpler things as well again in life, and appreciate our freedom and being able to do what we do. I mean, now I don't know. For that time, what really sort of something that really sort of drives me to do what I do is it's that bringing people together and experiencing that spirit, and that I really missed. That. I was staying obviously on my own, as I mentioned, and I mean, it was probably 2-3 weeks into lockdown. I had some mates calling me and asking me how you're doing. They were shacked up with the girlfriend or whatever, with the family and like, how are you doing? Are you okay? Like, you've just been thinking a lot about you, worried that you're surviving. And I was like, no, I'm actually fine. I'm safe. I felt, maybe one of the good things was that I wasn't in a house with someone who had the news on all the time and was, I didn't have to be exposed to things I didn't want to be exposed to. But it was damaging. But I think we're doing okay now.
Questions? I mean, I've got more. I'm not going to be the only one.
When's your next show?
Next show is the 27th of July. We're doing the British Invasion. That's featuring a lot of the big British bands and acts from the past.
And why dirty dancing? Why did you do that?
Why not? We knew it was going to be well, and because it's a very fun show to do as well. So I mean, we also incorporated some features from the film in that, which was quite an interactive show too. So it was in between the actual crowd and that, not just from the stage itself. It was a craze back in the day. It's been ever since. It's just one of those films, themes you could say that we knew would go down well.
But then, Brent, where are you taking it? You said you're taking it on the road.
Yeah, we're wanting to take it down to Bremen instead, in one state, up to East London as well. And then from there we'll look at other venues and that. But for now we're just going to focus on those two.
Brent, hopefully we don't have another lockdown again, but maybe a lesson learned. How are you prepping and planning for the next down? whatever it might be.
For the next,
Down to,
Down
or
to.
whatever that might be or be caused by. Or,
yeah, I don't know, I suppose it's that's something we should have learned from, but I'm just taking it each day at a time, each week at a time now, and enjoying it while it's there.
But they say that Eastern Cape is officially in a recession as of yesterday. Yeah. What do you think about that? Does it affect your industry?
Well, I don't know. People need to have fun. People need to go out. It just depends what, you know. I think it will affect certain sector of the industry, but it won't kill it in general. You know, and that's why I think you've got to be on top of things. You've got to be original. You've got to, you know, you've got to be the first one there.
How do you feel about local talent in Nelson Valley Bay? Do you feel there's an eagerness for local talent to get out there? Do they stick around, or do they head to other cities?
I have a lot of mates in other cities in Cape Town, Joburg, in that whether they're musicians themselves or just very in tune with what's going on in the music industry. And I mean, they've been saying that for years, that they come here and they're like, I can't believe there's so many venues where there are musicians performing. Like the number of musicians there are, you know, that are doing well. They're doing all right. They're making a living from it, you know. So I think that's been good. I mean, PE's been doing well, considering for a long time for us to that. I think Cape Town and places, there are probably more DJs than that you'll find.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying they're not musicians, I'm just saying,
Different.
you know, yeah.
Is there a lot more collaboration here, do you think? We were talking about it at the table.
Yeah,
People collaborate.
because we all know each other, and there's a history, you know, with a lot of the musicians and that. In Cape Town, I suppose, or Joburg, and that it's more, you know, unless you're really one of the big boys in the industry, and those are the circles you hang in. The national acts, yes, there also be collaborations and that, but if you're just a local musician doing residency in one or two venues or whatever, you know, I suppose it's just within that suburb where else you sort of know and you can, you know. Cape Town's not very clicky though, as well.
Yeah.
Very.
I want to say well done for proving that if you follow your passion,
Yeah.
you can make a living and you can do well.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you, thank you, but,
Did your dad feel the same?
no, my dad, I must say, my folks have always been very supportive. My dad, as I mentioned earlier, he was always sort of like concerned that like, why are you doing this? And like, you're gonna, where's your pension? Where's this? Where's your stability and all that, you know? How long do you know? I mean, for how long will you be able to sing? You don't know when all that, you know? Like, I mean, when COVID hit as well. Not that it was just us, but I remember my dad actually saying, now you see what I mean. You've got to have a nest egg, you've got to do this, you know? And not interested in that, but it was, I think it was, you know, at first, before, like with the shows now that I've been doing since then, before that, just jamming in a band and, you know, doing all these parties and things like that. I think my dad also had that idea. It was just, okay, he's probably just doing this to have a joy, you know, but he's got to grow up sometime and, you know, do something with his life. But then after a while, seeing how I was making a business of this, it wasn't, you know, I was running it as a business, you know, and selling it as a product, true product. And I think he was convinced then that maybe this is what I should be doing. It's what I love to do. I'd rather be happy with what I'm doing than not.
I love that too. Yeah.
And then Brent, just from my side, is it at all a part of a vision going forward to have your own place, similar maybe to like the Music Kitchen or anything like that, or personally to support the Music Kitchen or other people that have premises as such? And
Yeah,
take care of-
I mean, the name, let me tell you, there's a lot of cack that comes with that. So, and I know that, and I've been in enough to see, and you know, there's certain things that make certain venues work and certain things that don't. It's very tricky to get the right recipe, and when you invest so much money into something and it goes that's a massive risk. So I think, you know, with what I'm doing, it's working now. Don't try and fix something that's not broken. You know, that's always fault. I never went and did the overseas stint that a lot of my mates did, folks of my generation, that when they left school at some point, whether they studied first or went before, did that 1 or 2 years in the UK or wherever, you know, and I didn't. And there were times where I felt, you know, maybe now I should. And then something else would progress again, and I would think, well, wow, I'm not running away. I'm not running away from, should be running away from everything is going well, you know. And yeah, so I never did. And yeah.